Werewolf is not a monster. Dear Scary Stories NYC, I'm a guy with a family and a job who is secretly fascinated with the subject of cryptids in general, but dogmen or real werewolves in particular. I am speaking about the Michigan dogman. It is a real animal, I am certain of it. At least, this is my strongly held opinion. I've seen two of them on two very different occasions, and they did not seem any more dangerous to me than any other large predator. Of course, a large predator can eat you for lunch, so it's not like that's nothing. But I just don't think the creature deserves the bad reputation that it's gotten. I'd like to tell you about my two personal experiences, and then share some testimonials I've been gathering over the last few years from people I know personally who have had experiences with the wolfman or a dogman, which might surprise many people. Sometimes a mutually beneficial bond or almost friendship can be created. I won't say that's happened to me personally, but I do want to tell you about what has happened to me. When I was a kid, I had my first dogman experience. I'm not going to say I wasn't scared because I was terrified. But the creature didn't harm me, even though it could have. What happened was this. I was in the backyard of our family's home playing with my dog Barky. Yes, I named my dog Barky, leave me alone. Barky got out through a hole in the fence and I followed him, very upset that my dog was in the process of getting lost. When I caught up with Barky, I was surprised to find him in the woods, yapping and jumping up and down all over this large, furry man thing. I thought it must be Bigfoot, but it did not have big feet. It had dog feet, but only two of them, and it stood up like a human being more than like a canine. He leaned over and pet Barky in the same kind of way a man might pet a little dog. When he was done, Barky excitedly ran back to me. I picked him up and watched as the dogman walked away silently. I went home with Barky and I cried for a long time. Nothing had actually happened to me. It was just that it had all been kind of traumatic. My father had the fence fixed, and that was the last time I would see a monster, until just about 7 years ago as I typed this. It was a Sunday, and it was the last time I went to church with my family at the church I had grown up going to. We were driving along the highway through the woods, and alongside the road, back a ways by the trees, I saw a big dogman walking along, holding hands with what looked like a human. A small human. Maybe it was a short lady, or maybe it was a child, I couldn't tell. Nobody else in my family saw any of this, but I can't forget it. It didn't look like he was taking the person away. It looked like the person was leading the big dogman along, like they were showing him something. It was a very peaceful looking scene, believe it or not. I'm not sure how else to explain it, but it felt like I was meant to see that for some reason. Since then, I have carefully and slowly built a small, tiny network of friends who have all witnessed similar things or experienced benign behavior from the legendary American werewolves. I've gathered a small collection of testimonials, and I would like to present them to you now. Testimonial from a homeowner witnessing dogman on his property. It's been a year since I bought my first home, a quaint little house tucked away in a quiet neighborhood. At first I was overjoyed with the sense of independence and the freedom to call a place my own. But as weeks passed, strange things started happening, things that I couldn't quite explain. It started with the tapping, a soft rhythmic sound that seemed to echo through the walls at odd hours of the night. At first I brushed it off as the creaks and groans of an old house settling into its new life. But as the tappings persisted, growing louder and more insistent, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was weird. My nights turned into a blur of restless sleep and paranoid glances over my shoulder as the tapping grew louder and more annoying with each passing day. I started to question my sanity, wondering if I was imagining things, or if there was truly something sinister lurking within the walls of my home. Then one fateful night, as I mustered up the courage to confront whatever was causing the incessant tapping, I saw it. a sight that sent chills down my spine and made my blood run cold. There, standing outside my window in the night, was a creature unlike anything I had ever seen before. Its head was that of a dog, with sharp ears perked up, and eyes that seemed to glow with an otherworldly light. But what truly terrified me was its posture, standing upright on two legs like a man, its long, slender limbs reaching out toward my window with an eerie sense of purpose. I froze in terror, unable to tear my gaze away from the creature's haunting visage. For a moment, time seemed to stand still as we locked eyes, each of us sizing the other up with a mixture of curiosity and fear. It was only later, after the initial shock had worn off and I had retreated to my bed, that the pieces of this puzzle started to fall into place. The tapping, the strange sounds in the dead of the night, it all made sense now. My home wasn't haunted by ghosts or spirits. It was being visited by a creature straight out of my worst nightmares. As the realization sank in, I found myself torn between two conflicting emotions. Not fight or flight, but curiosity or flight. Part of me was terrified and wanted to flee, to abandon my home and never look back. But another part, a stubborn curiosity that refused to be quelled, urged me to stay and uncover the truth behind this mysterious visitor. And so, as I lay awake in the darkness, listening to the soft tapping outside my window, I made a decision. A decision to confront this creature head on, to uncover its secrets and perhaps, just perhaps, find a way to coexist with the unexplainable presence that had taken up residence outside my home. But not that night. Maybe I'd confront him the next night. In the morning, I was a wreck, unable to get any good sleep the night before. I called my real estate agent on the phone and told her all about my nighttime visitor. She actually had the nerve to laugh at my story. She told me that once the house was sold, there really wasn't much she could do about what local wildlife happened to wander up onto the property. She offered to put the house back on the market for me, but I told her to wait and let me think it through first. I wasn't and am not now in any position financially to make a big move. Not so soon after I just moved in. Now I finally understand why this house was so affordable to move into, though. As the days turned into weeks, the tapping outside my window became a nightly ritual. A constant reminder of the creature that lurked just beyond the safety of my walls. But despite my initial terror, a strange sense of curiosity continued to gnaw at me, urging me to confront the source of my fears head on. And so, on a particularly restless night, when the scratching and tapping reached a fever pitch, I remade that same decision. With a mixture of fear and determination coursing through my veins, I threw open my back door and I stepped out into the darkness, ready to face whatever awaited me. What I saw on the side of my house outside my window took me by surprise. There, in the moonlight glow, stood the creature, tall, imposing, and undeniably fearsome. But instead of lunging toward me with bared teeth and claws, it was preoccupied with something else entirely. To my amazement, I watched as the creature gracefully plucked rodents from the shadows, its movements fluid and precise. With each catch, it dispatched the vermin with a quick snap of its jaws, effectively ridding my property of the pests that had been plaguing my home since before I moved in. As I stood there, transfixed by the sight before me, a sense of awe replaced my earlier fear. This creature, this dogman or werewolf, it wasn't there to harm me. It was there to protect me, to rid my home of the pests that had tormented me for so long. Without thinking, I took a tentative step forward, extending a hand in a gesture of peace. To my surprise, the creature didn't recoil or lash out. Instead, it regarded me with those same amber eyes, its gaze filled with a mix of caution and curiosity. In that moment, a silent understanding seemed to pass between us, an unspoken bond forged in the darkness of that night. And as if sensing my newfound acceptance, the creature stood up and took a cautious step toward me, its posture less threatening. With a sudden burst of inspiration, I turned and hurried back inside the house, returning moments later with a plate of food, leftovers, and offering a gesture of goodwill. As I placed the plate on the ground before the creature, I watched with bated breath, unsure of how it would react. Do dogmen even like meatloaf? To my relief, the creature approached the food with caution, sniffing at it tentatively before taking a cautious bite. As it savored my mother's famous meatloaf, I couldn't help but feel a sense of relief wash over me. For in that moment, I realized that despite our differences, despite the fear and uncertainty which had initially plagued our relationship, there was something deeper. There was something more profound connecting me with that dogman. A bond, born out of mutual respect and understanding. And as I stood there watching the creature devour its meal with a newfound sense of camaraderie, I knew that from that day forward, things would be different. No longer would I fear the tapping and scratching outside my window. Instead, I would welcome it, knowing that it was a sign of the creature's presence, a reminder of the unlikely friendship that had blossomed between us. Next, testimonial from Emily, a mom. My name is Emily, and I speak not just for myself, but for my husband Jack as well. We live in a small, close-knit neighborhood nestled amidst the towering pines and rolling hills of the countryside of Michigan. It's the kind of town where everyone knows everyone else, where neighbors look out for one another like family. But our neighborhood harbors a secret that has both terrified and fascinated us for years. You see, there's a creature that roams these woods near us. It's a creature unlike anything we've ever seen before. With the head of a dog and the body of a hairy man, it's a sight that would send shivers down anyone's spine. Yet despite its monstrous appearance, this creature is no monster. Let me tell you a story that changed our lives forever. It was a warm summer afternoon when it happened. My young son Tommy was playing out in the yard, his laughter echoing through the woods as he chased butterflies and climbed trees. But this idyllic scene soon turned into a nightmare when a bear wandered onto our property, drawn by the scent of food from our picnic earlier that day. I'll never forget the fear that gripped my heart as I looked out the kitchen window and I watched that massive creature lumbering toward my precious boy, its eyes fixed on him with hunger and intent. In that moment, every parental instinct screamed at me to run outside, to protect my child at all costs. But before I could even move, a sudden commotion erupted from the edge of the woods, a cacophony of snarls and growls that echoed through the air like thunder. And then like a bolt from the blue, he appeared, the creature, the dogman, with his towering frame and piercing amber eyes. For a moment, time seemed to stand still as the bear and the dogman faced off, each sizing the other up with a mixture of caution and defiance. And then with a ferocious roar, the bear lunged forward, its claws bared and teeth gnashing. But the dogman was faster. With lightning speed, he intercepted that bear, his powerful limbs grappling with the beast in a whirlwind of fur and fury. And then, just as quickly as it had begun, it was over. The bear ran away, vanquished by the unlikely hero that had come to my son's rescue. As I rushed to my son's side, tears streaming down my cheeks, I couldn't help but feel a sense of overwhelming gratitude toward that creature that had saved his life. And as I looked into the dogman's eyes, I didn't see a monster. I saw a friend, a guardian, watching over us from the shadows, silently protecting us from harm. In the days that followed, word of the encounter spread like wildfire through our neighborhood, sparking heated debates and fervent discussions about the true nature of that dogman. But Jack and I, we know the truth. We know that despite his fearsome appearance, The dogman is not a monster. He's a friend to all in our neighborhood, a silent protector who has proven his loyalty in the most courageous of ways. And so as we watch the sun set, casting its golden glow upon the tranquil woods that surround our home, we know we're safe. As long as the dogman roams these woods, we will always be protected, watched over by a guardian unlike any other. For in the end, it's not the appearance that matters. It's the heart, the soul, the unspoken bond that binds us together as one. And in the case of the dogman, that bond is stronger than any fear, any prejudice, any doubt. For he is not a monster. He is a friend, a hero, a guardian of the woods. And for that, we will be forever grateful. Testimonial from Martha. My name is Martha, and I'm a 73-year-old woman who has lived in the same house for over 5 decades now. But what makes my story unique isn't just the years I've spent here. It's the faithful companion who's been by my side, or rather guarding my home, for as long as I can remember. You see, I've always believed in the extraordinary, in things that defy explanation. And this belief was cemented when I first encountered him. A majestic, upright walking canine creature with piercing eyes that seemed to hold centuries of wisdom. He appeared to me one rainy night when I was just a young woman, seeking shelter on my porch. At first I was startled, as anyone would be encountering such an animal, but there was something about his presence that calmed me. He didn't bark or growl. Instead, he looked at me with a gentle gaze that spoke volumes. Without hesitation, I offered him some meat from my dinner table, and from that moment on, an unspoken bond was formed between us. Let me describe him to you. His head is distinctly canine, with pointed ears that twitch at every sound, and a snout that tapers to a black nose, sensitive to the slightest scent. Yet despite his canine features, he stands like a man, towering over 7 feet tall when he rises onto his hind legs. His fur is a mix of charcoal and silver, sleek, shimmering, even in the dimmest moonlight. But it's his eyes that truly captivate me. They glow like twin amber lanterns in the darkness, casting an otherworldly light that seems to pierce through the shadows. When he looks at me with those eyes, I feel as though he sees straight into my soul, understanding me in a way no human ever could. And his paws, oh, they are a wonder to behold, almost resembling hands, with long, dexterous fingers that can grasp and manipulate objects with surprising agility. It's as if nature itself decided to blend the best of both worlds, creating a creature that is both formidable and eerily human-like. For decades now, this magnificent animal has stood guard outside my home, protecting me from harm. Whether it's the occasional intruder or wild animals encroaching on my property, he's always there, ready to defend his and my territory. In return for his unwavering loyalty, I share my meals with him, ensuring he never goes hungry. Sometimes he leaves presents for me, too. I enjoy some of them, such as when he leaves me fresh flowers. I tolerate other presents, such as when he leaves me half a rabbit. I know each gift is given with true love. Some may call me crazy, attributing his presence to mere folklore or imagination. But I know the truth. He's real, as real as the house I've lived in for so long. And though the years have passed, and my bones have grown weary, his presence remains a source of comfort and strength. So if you ever find yourself passing my humble abode on a dark and stormy night, don't be afraid if you catch a glimpse of him standing tall and proud by my door, for he is not a creature of myth and legend. He is my guardian, my protector, my loyal friend, and as long as there's meat to share and a home to guard, I know he'll always be there, watching over me.
If you want a coloring book full of monstrous delight, then give this a look. It'll give you a fright, right? Scary stories, coloring book, werewolf coloring book. And just to make your mind explode, it's a digital download. All it costs is $2.09, and then you will be feeling fine. Coloring monsters today, hey, it's a coloring book, hooray. Okay, link is in the description.
You can look everywhere on the World Wide Web, but you won't find anyone cooler than Deb. Please join us in thanking our newest channel member, who simply calls herself Deb. Thanks to Deb, this episode was made possible. In exchange for her kind monthly donation, Deb gets to see our secret uncensored dogman stories. Stories far too wild or violent to tell on this channel. Here to explain more is our international TV spokesmongrel, Henry Lee Dogman. Hank. Thanks, Biggie. And thanks to all of you for watching this far. If you liked it, please click like. If you'd like to see more of our work, please subscribe. And also click that bell icon if you'd like to be notified when we put out a new episode. To become an executive producer, you can donate to us through the thanks button under each of our videos or through our paypal.me/PeterBernard209 page. To receive cool perks like secret uncensored Dogman episodes far too wild to ever run on this channel, you can become a YouTube channel member by clicking the join button. Or join our PayPal subscribers club at peterbernard.com. Joining either at the $3 a month level or above gets you access to our over 25 hours of secret uncensored Dogman stories available nowhere else. Do you have a scary story about Dogman or some other kind of high strangeness that happened to you? Let us know by emailing us at scarystoriesnyc@gmail.com or by leaving us a voicemail message at 804-LA-SCARY. You may need to call back on that one. It cuts off after, I think, 3 minutes. And if you don't want to do any of that stuff, thank you for simply watching to the end. Good night, and have a scary tomorrow.
Come back for more scary stories.